We start with crime, and the police in the eastern region, they are looking for 2 rogue officers who escaped whilst being transported to the regional capital, Koforidua, after they were arrested in connection with an attempted robbery of a bullion van on Tuesday. And the attempted robbery at Isukese No. 1 in the Afram Plains South District resulted in the death of the driver of the bullion van, whilst the police officer who was escorting the vehicle was injured in the process when he engaged in a shootout with the gunmen. That robbery was foiled, and the gunmen, who were identified as police officers, were subsequently arrested. The rogue officers who join news has lent Lance Corporal Elvis Mensah and Corporal Daniel Kusi of the Afram Plains District Command have since been in custody until they escaped on Wednesday when they were being transported to Koforidua. And Eastern Regional Correspondent Edwin Kofisian reports.
The police officers in the area are still conducting the search on vehicles that is passing through the principal street of Nkoko to other areas. So every vehicle that passes through the area is searched thoroughly to ensure that the suspects, the police suspects who are on the run, are apprehended. So that is the current situation now. If you pass Nkoko and its surrounding towns now, police officers are all around searching vehicles that is moving from one point of the Nkoko area to the other. Immediately after the news broke that the police suspects have escaped from the hands of the police who were transporting them from Afram Plains to Nkoko, residents had to, come together. They gathered at where the incident happened. That is the filling station in Nkoko, and they were having some arguments with the police. They believe that the police know something about what really happened. They suspect that the police actually aided the suspects to flee. Sources say that they were being transferred from Donkokrom to Koforidua, the regional police command. And upon reaching in Nkoko, they decided to, pass urine. So they were escorted by one police officer, and just in the process, the suspected robbers decided to push the police officer somewhere, and they escaped. Even though they were in handcuffs, as to why or how they were able to escape, that is what is beating the minds of people here in the Eastern region. So that is exactly what we heard as to how the police officers were able to escape from the hands of their own colleagues. There is this bullion van that belongs to the Ghana Commercial Bank in Donkokrom. The armed robbers, the suspected armed robbers, suspected that there were some money in the bullion van. So they attacked them, and they succeeded in murdering or killing the driver of the bullion van. So there was this police officer also on board, who was also shot, but he didn't die. He sustained some injuries. And the police officers in the area mounted a search, and they were able to apprehend the 3 of them. One is a mechanic, and 2 of them are police officers with the Donkokrom Police Command.
The police in Ashanti are soliciting for greater cooperation from residents in the fight against crime.
The request comes a day after the arrest of suspected criminals believed to be behind recent robbery attacks in which a number of victims have been killed. Here's Kwesi Deborah's report.
Public Relations Officer at the Regional Command says a handful of informants have accounted for the recent success in crime combat. ASP Mohammed Yusuf Tanko tells Love FM's David Akwete the region will be a no-go area for criminals with a bit more public support.
I have to congratulate especially the people of Kumasi, because they have assisted us a lot. Most of the successes that we make in our crime management in the region are assistance that we receive from them, and that is very commendable. And we are also saying that, yes, these people, in fact, the people who give us information are not many. In spite of the fact that they are not many, we've used their information very well, and it has helped us a lot in crime management in the region.
Joy News asked a section of the public what they think about the police appeal.
The police because when you go there, they ask you that how sure are you that person is an armed robber, and sometimes they'll even be demanding money from you.
Farmer say case in the wire case no name boom. Yes, why then? Why am I and a farmer in Busan say, now mamma ben why I say this way then we kakra to her. No, sir, I went to mention because in Pan Avian now soon, but we no not is a one other tray. That's that means any pants will be and to me, one could read the matter better into any Parua. That's why we won't wipe the Asian to be built waiting at the any pants to the owner one or your sweets in a fancy here. And at the same time, so I because we been here in some son, a Bassana, Yana one of me here, as I count, high whose side is our room. So, police for them, they mean your money.
Patrol police for Nankasan, so Kumeki, that comment, no. Say, be aha, or for sale how more hard and I be say. No more banom bet show, not some do a moqua, not some call for the back and crow for every trees come on we are. A multimeter almost as missing. In a buy, a better portal case in a mao or personal or watcher or multimin born who buy at that time it's able to be an a one son or a palm.
For Joy News, Kwesi Deborah.
A 4-year-old girl has died after fire burnt down a 2-story building at Lapam Wine Junction here in Accra.
Well, the fire, which began Wednesday afternoon, is suspected to have been caused by leakage from a gas cylinder. Efwa Evans Chinri visited the scene and came through with his report.
These are not scrap dealers you see behind me. These are actually neighbors who are helping clear up this place after fire raised down a wooden structure here this afternoon. Properties worth thousands of Ghana cedis have been lost in this fire, and a 4-year-old girl have also lost her life in this fire. Residents looked on depressed and angry as people gathered on the scene, struggling to help clear up the scene after the fire was put out. The wooden structure, according to residents, was put up 15 years ago and housed 15 people. Most of the occupants were not in the building when the fire started. However, a 4-year-old girl was left to sleep in the building.
I saw fire service, police, and soldiers putting water for explaining everything.
But I hear when they got here, the neighbors around here had already put out the fire.
Yes, they are also trying and put off for the fire. But they couldn't, so only the fire service people come before they done it. So already the daughter has died inside.
Okay, tell me about this wooden structure. When was it put up?
This building structure was building almost 15 years now.
Oh, it's been here for 15 years.
No, 15 years now. And it's a study building, a structural study building. 4. And here with the down one, including this place. Yeah, okay. All burned.
You were here when the incident occurred. What happened?
Oh, we are here playing like jokers. And one of my friend, junior doctor, he went to the room and then he said it's a fire there. Before he came and called us, they said the whole thing is burning.
The mother of the deceased collapsed on her way back home upon hearing that her daughter had died. The other occupants are in despair because they lost everything they have worked years for.
As a branch secretary here, I have documents and a lot of people that, in our area. So when the thing happened, I can't think about myself alone. I have to think about my other brothers who are, sisters and brothers who are staying in the area. So that's the problem I have.
The police as well as fire service personnel had already left the scene when the news team arrived. Efwa Evans Chinri for Joy News.
With less than 4 months to the December elections, it appears Ghanaians are likely to have more options on who to vote for as president, as more than 35 others seek to unseat President John Dramani Mahama.
With 25 political parties already registered, the Electoral Commission says as many as 11 more are still waiting for certificates to contest the presidential election. Deputy EC Chair Amadou Sule made the revelation at the launch of 2016 Peaceful Election Post Stamps by the Ghana Post. Joy News' Joseph Akable was at the press conference and came through with this report.
The program was organized by Ghana Post to outdoor its new stamps. This is the postal agency's contribution to the call for a peaceful elections. Addressing a press conference, Deputy Chair of the Electoral Commission, Amadou Sule, said the Commission has so far adhered to guiding principles of electoral practices to ensure that the polls are credible.
Mr. Chairman, the Commission has put up certain mechanisms in place to ensure a credible election this year, that is both the presidential and parliamentary elections. And I want to assure you that the Commission is adhering to the guiding principles of electoral justice. There are various activities in there. One, that is leaning on the law, the legal framework. Two, transparency and participation, accountability, integrity, timeliness, accuracy. These are all guiding principles, and we are ensuring that we link to that.
Mr. Amadou also revealed that 11 other parties are seeking certificates of approval from the Electoral Commission.
When I talk of our critical stakeholders, I'm not talking about the registered political parties. Monthly IPAC meetings from January up to date. We are now in the 8th month. When I say IPAC, the acronym is Inter-Party Advisory Committee. It's made up of all registered political parties, series of meetings, and IPAC has a 3-tier system. We have the IPAC, which is at the top level, the RIPAC, which is the Regional Inter-Party Advisory Committee, and the DIPAC, the District Inter-Party Advisory Committee. You see, what happened at the top gets to the region, up, down, and bottom up. You see, these are issues that were discussed at the level of the Commission with all the national executives of the registered political parties. As I talk now, we have 25 registered political parties in our records. And I want to tell you there are 11 which are trying to come. Before I left the office yesterday, 2 were telling me, please, you've given us the provisional certificate. When are we getting the final one? So you see, if we should get the 11 on board, plus the 25, those of you who are mathematicians.
On his part, Managing Director for Ghana Post, Mr. Eric Yao, said electoral violence that has plagued other countries affected postal services as well as other activities. It was thus important for all citizens to get on board the call for peace. Mr. Yao said this was the contribution of Ghana Post.
Getting to this stage has not been easy, but with determination and persistence, Ghana Post today has made a great stride in our effort to tell the world that Ghana stands united and we are solidly protecting the peace of our dear nation. Mr. Chairman, as part of corporate Ghana, Ghana Post can only effectively operate and function in an atmosphere and a nation that is stable and peaceful. As a postal organization, we are witnesses to the effects of wars that have happened in places like Liberia, Sierra Leone, and other African countries.
Joseph Akable, Joy News, Accra.
The New Patriotic Party is calling for a disclosure of funding sources and cost of the First Lady, Lordina Mahama's nationwide gift donation exercise, which has seen her distribute medical supplies and various food items to numerous institutions across the country.
According to the NPP, the timing of the gift distribution exercise is questionable and must be interrogated.
Addressing the news conference in Accra Wednesday, Acting General Secretary of the party, John Bwedu, said the gifts donated to various groups by the First Lady ran into several thousands of cedis and must be interrogated.
Mrs. Lordina Mahama has assumed a special role in the 2016 NDC campaign. She is effectively the chief director of gifts. The wife of the President of the Republic is going around the country with a fleet of trucks loads of goodies, which she is sharing for votes. This ran into millions of dollars. Ghanaians deserve to know how much is being spent, who is paying for it, where is the money coming from? Is it from our taxes or from friends? Which friends? Are they friends who are also capable of winning contracts to build walls and roads, and not limit their building of walls in Ghana alone, building walls in Burkina Faso for a whooping sum of close to $600,000.
The party also outlined a number of interventions it will implement to better the lot of Ghanaians when it wins power. Key among which is the redemarcation of large regions into sizable ones to facilitate effective distribution and use of resources.
Nana Akufo-Addo believes that it is time to deepen democracy and democratic accountability in Ghana, especially after 24 years of the Fourth Republic, with no significant shift in the few areas of economic activity since the colonial days. The MPP message for this election is hinged on Nana Akufo-Addo's vision of boosting economic activity by creating and supporting viable industries in every geographical corner of this country. This is based on his commitment to create a free and prosperous society of opportunities for every Ghanaian, regardless of circumstances of birth, such as geography. The one district, one factory industrialization policy is at the heart of this. But aware of the facilitating nature of good governance to economic activity, the MPP promises to undertake significant reforms to improve service delivery at the grassroots level.
Meanwhile, anti-corruption group Ghana Integrity Initiative is also warning that the distribution of outboard motors by fishermen or to fishermen by President John Mahama in the Western region is akin to vote buying.
This comes as President Mahama continues his campaign tour after the lunch over the weekend at a Deba with fishermen in Sekondi. President Mahama gave outboard motors to the fisher folk, but spokesperson of the NDC campaign, Joyce Bar Mokhtari, told Super Morning Show host Kojo Yankson on Joy FM the outboard motors are part of a government intervention and not intended to buy votes.
Yesterday, it was an opportunity for us to present these outboard motors to the community here in the Western region. Several other communities in the Greater Accra and all the other fishing communities have actually benefited from this intervention. Remember that we are a social democratic government. We focus greatly on all the other industries other than the traditional one. So yes, the fishing community is part of this industries that His Excellency the President is working to improve, to ensure sustenance, to ensure that they contribute adequately.
So what you're calling a donation is actually something paid for with state funds?
Oh, certainly. Very, very straightforward. It's something that we've been engaged in for quite some time. His Excellency has made these donations all across the country, specifically targeted at fishing communities in Ghana.
Since you are giving these items to the fisher folk and they've been paid for with state funds, is it really appropriate to do this at a party event? Is it not likely to confuse people into thinking that it is the party doing this for them when it's actually all of us as a nation paying for it?
I have explained to you that this was actually a deba for fishermen and fishmongers. As part of the activities marking the occasion, these outboard motors were given to all the districts in that community.
However, the Executive Director of Ghana Integrity Initiative, Linda Ofori-Kwanfo, is worried this could also send the wrong signals.
Could you ask Madam Bauer? I think the response was yes, it was bought with state resources. If they were bought with state resources, then it actually amounts to abusing incumbency. And equally using, when you talk about abuse of incumbency, we have two aspects: coercive abuse and corrupt abuse. And for corrupt abuse, it's actually using state resources to fuel, to fund such activities. If the president told the whole nation that he's embarking on his campaign, then how on earth is the party using state resources to buy such gifts, which the woman referred to as donations?
Well, she clarified midway through that interview that it's actually a government intervention. He acted in his capacity as the president of the country.
A moment, as Kojo rightly said, you become confusing the electorate. If the electorate are receiving this, if they are receiving them at this time, then actually also means that you are using state resources to buy votes. And we don't do that. If you do that, you don't create a level playing field in an election, and it's not going to amount to free and fair elections because your opponents would.
But in all of this, one thing too that we should address our minds to is this: how do we draw the line between the president doing his official business and him also campaigning?
Thank you very much. This campaign, the president called this a campaign tour, so obviously the president is not performing his official duties. The president should be able, there is a line between the two. We know for a fact that he is a certain president and he has responsibilities to perform even during those periods until the elections or whatever is over. But whilst he's doing that, he should make sure that he does not use state resources to fund.
And that's it for the news. You have your own sentiments or comments about this and other issues that we've been looking at in the news. Please make sure you send us through our WhatsApp platform. 0560 800,000 is the number. And on Facebook, we have a page there. Please get interactive. Join us on TV. Right now, we're streaming live on our YouTube channel, Majo Online.
Stay with us. We've got the newspapers up next here on our show.